Save money on your Lords mobile packs with Huawei App Gallery with up to 30% coupons with 5 levels. Every euro you spend equals a diamond, and then use your diamonds to claim awesome coupons with up to 30% back on what you spend, which is awesome stuff. Make sure your app region is on Italy or Netherlands, and all the links are in the description below, guys. Save money with Huawei App Gallery. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Worthy Prince coming at ya with another Lords mobile video, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about a wonder troop comp. That's right, guys, we're going to be talking about 055. Now, a lot of people have been asking for me to make videos about wonder comps and stuff, so I thought I'd kick it off with this one, mainly because I got to use it a fair bit yesterday, got some good hits with it, and I've got some good reports and some good testing done now to give you some good advice, which is what I'm doing this video for today. Now, of course, 055 as a comp isn't brand new. This isn't something that's just appeared in the game. It's been being used for months upon months. In fact, if I think back to the first time I actually encountered 055, it was at a Baron, and I believe Cyclone from 3v3 hit me with a 055. Luckily enough, I sent 794 and he went into a whole bunch of my range, or I might have even sent a pure range blast, and I think I killed like 3 million troops. It was insane. A really good hit, but the point is not the hit. The point is that was the first time I encountered it, looked at the troop comp and thought, wow, what is he sending there? And then, of course, I started doing my research as to what exactly that comp was. I started asking other rally leads, I started doing research on videos, trying to work out what that was and where you really want to be using it. And yeah, before we go any further, let's give some shout outs. First of all, I want to give shout out to Cheap Booze and Leroy in TWK that have done extensive testing on camps to work out the best kind of setup for this. Also, big shout out to Crystal Briefs. I don't know if you know who that is. It's another content creator who makes a lot of videos about Wonder Wars and troop comps and stuff. And if you are looking for some information, you can't go far wrong by checking out his videos. And his link will be in the description down below as well. Got some really informative videos. I even checked out his video on 055 because he has one too, and it's good. It's a really good video and it works really well. I've made some slight adjustments because there's some things that I've done which kind of I feel benefit the 055 a lot, and we're going to go through that in just a moment. Okay, but yeah, wanted to get those shout outs through out the way first because you know, it's good to acknowledge people that help you get to the, you know, the information you need to make the right kind of choices, etc. Okay, so what do we start with first of all? I guess the most basic thing is formation. Before we do anything, what formation do we go in? And yes, guys, I'm capped. I know. And yes, we did rally thing. But just don't blame Leroy. That's all I'm going to say is blame Leroy. As you can see from these, look at this. Look at this. Look what we did last night. Last night we did an oopsie and we decided to rally a 2-piece Emperor count. Yeah, we dropped it about 160 million might, and then he boosted it all back this morning. He migrated with all of our leads. Yeah, he's got like 8 TWK leads. Yeah, for another video. Okay, so first of all, you always send a 055 in infantry wedge. There's no other formation. There's no, but what if you send it in infal? No, it's always infantry wedge. And the reason for this, I'm going to try and be as simple as far as my explanations go as I can. The reason for this is when you set the 055 up, you have, obviously, it's mostly cavalry and range in your march, and then you just have a few infantry buffers at the front here. Okay, so when the start of the battle happens, the infantry is going to run forward and keep the enemy army busy just long enough for the cavalry to run in front of the range, and then the enemy army is going to retarget onto the cavalry, okay, leaving your range at the back here, causing devastation. And we're going to look at a battle video and show you that in actual action, so don't worry, we'll come back to that a little bit later. But this is the formation you send, and when you ask your guild for 055, the 0 always represents the infantry, the 5 is for the second number is your range, and the third number is your cavalry. It's always that way. Okay, so if someone says they want 424, they want 4 of infantry, 2 of range, and 4 of cav, and those numbers represent the ratios of you know, the troops you're sending in. Okay, so on 055 it's going to be a 50-50 split between cavalry and range. So as a filler, if you're sending a 200,000 march, you're going to send 100,000 range and 100,000 cav. You're not going to send any infantry. Okay, and of course you'll have your tier 5 tier 4 ratio split, depending on what percentage of tier 5 you want to send. Most people generally go 60-40 to save their tier 5. They go to the infirms. But some people, like the bigger guilds, will go higher tier 5 to make the rally hit harder, at the detriment of possibly losing more tier 5 in the process. Okay guys, let's talk about heroes that you put into your 055. So this is how I have my 055 set up. For me, this is the optimum setup for how I run my account. Now I've got Lawweaver as my leader, and having Lawweaver as my leader means I already have my cav hero in slot. So I don't need to go with another cav hero. What I do need to do now is put 4 range heroes into my march. Now you might think, oh, but it's 055. Surely you should split the heroes between cav and range more evenly. Maybe put 2 cav heroes in, or 3. But that's actually not going to benefit you at all. And we'll get into that a bit more when we show the battle video of an actual attack. But what you want is the 4 range heroes. The range is going to sit back and just absolutely pile drive the enemy's troops, and you want all the squad attack you can get going forward from those range units. And so the range is really important. Again, we'll talk more about it when we see the battle video, but you can see here I go with very specific range heroes. I don't go with just all pure range heroes, because I want to make sure I'm also buffing my cavalry front line. So I go with heroes like Ethereal Guide, because not only do I get the 30% range attack, but I also get 25% army HP. It's not so much as important to have the range HP, but that HP there is going to help my cavalry front, as well as Dream Witch as well, exactly the same reasons. And again, Songstress for exactly the same reasons. I am potentially losing a little bit of range attack by not using pure range heroes like Petite Devil and Snow Queen and Grove Guardian. But again, it would make my cavalry front, like, I guess think of the cavalry as your brick wall. It basically would make it weaker. And then for the 4th hero, I do go with a pure range hero, because I do want to make sure the range is hitting as hard as it possibly can. So we do go with the Weasel, Master Cook, for the 4th one. He does have army defense as well, which is why I prefer this one over Grove Guardian, because Grove Guardian is just pure range. So rather than have that 50% range defense, it'd be much better to have the army defense instead. Now, there is an argument to be had that you could move Songstress as your lead. If I know I'm going to do a 055, I could go ahead and put Songstress as my lead. Having that kind of behavior, though, of switching leaders, gives people spot that stuff. You know, if people soon get used to the fact that, oh, Prince has switched to Songstress, that he's probably firing off a 055. So I always try and keep my leader the same as always. And the reason you would switch Songstress out for Lawweaver, I guess, is because then you could possibly switch Lawweaver out and bring in Rose Knight, because Rose Knight does have the 50% cavalry HP, of course, which is really nice for the cavalry front, the brick wall again. And then the army attack of 20% is also good too. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's actually needed, because with the artifacts and Astrolite and all the extra cav HP boosts I'm already getting, losing 25% HP here is not really that much of a problem. And I would rather take the 4th hero at 30% attack on range instead of having another 20% attack coming off here. So for the 4th one, we'll take the extra range attack every day in Master Cook. This is the optimum familiar lineup that you want to go for, the optimal, should I say, lineup you should go for. So Blackwing and B, of course, because Blackwing and B, your range is what you're doing damage with. Think of the range in a 055 as your damage dealers. You need to do as much damage as you can with that range. So bringing in the Blackwing and the B is essential. The Frostwing is really good. In fact, the Frostwing does more damage than Garg, believe it or not. Actually really do prefer the Frostwing over the Garg in this march. And then on the 4th and 5th familiar, we go for the Shield familiar and we go for the stacking familiar in the goblin. The shield familiar, of course, making that brick wall last longer, and having the stacking familiar works really well because you're increasing the attack that your cav's doing to help you with the outside squads of, well, which I'll get to in a minute when we get to the actual battle video. But having that extra attack is also really helpful to help break down those squads at the front of the enemy line. So that's basically what you do as far as a familiar setup, and then it comes down to what you send as the rally lead. And you can see here from my march, I don't have any cavalry in my march at all. Okay, as a rally lead, sending 375,000 troops every single time, you know, it's very taxing. So I would rather send my range as a pure range march, where my range is safe at the back. I can maintain my troop number when I'm attacking or being attacked, and it means I can continue to rally again and again without having to worry too much about having to heal constantly. If I take massive losses on my range, then my 055 has failed. Okay, I need to make sure that this range stays intact. Now, I mean, I can switch it up, I can take it down a bit, I can increase my cav, but the other reason for this, and look, it's not just about saving troops and not having to lose as many troops. The other reason why I send pure range on my march is because although this is 055, an even comp between range and cavalry, we've found through our testing that it actually works a lot better if you actually offset the range to the cav. So in essence, you've almost got a 064 that actually works so much better than running just an even 055. Now there are some situations where it might not, and those situations are going to be basically if you're going up against someone extremely strong who's got very strong troops and stats, and you need that bigger brick wall at the front to allow your range time to break down the squads you need to break down for retargeting, etc. But based on my testing and the accounts I've hit with this, I actually prefer this. I believe it does work a lot better, especially if you're going up against troop comps which have more of a counter to the 055. So if there's someone that's got quite a high range in their troop comp, having the extra range here and a little bit less cav actually works in your favor. So this for me not only is about saving troops, but it's also about making my troop comp more effective when I actually hit my enemy. You want to go between 50 and 60,000 infantry buffers. This is really important. If you go any more than 60,000, you're gonna the potential of your 055 to fail increases dramatically, and likewise if you don't have enough, then you also potentially will foul. If they break through those buffers too quick and start targeting your range instead of your cavalry, then that can cause all sorts of problems. So you definitely want to make sure 50 to 60,000 is kind of the sweet spot for your infantry buffers. And then of course I go for a pure tier 5 range march. Well, I put a little bit of tier 4 buffers in as well. The reason for this is because sometimes there can be a bit of familiar damage, especially by me increasing the range over the cavalry. The familiar damage is most likely going to come over and hit my range, so I put a little bit of tier 4 buffer in just to soak up that familiar damage. And then of course we go down and put a little bit of siege in. 500 siege is what I use. Okay guys, let's go through the gear pieces which you would want to use in a 055. Now I can't go to my profile because of course I'm capped, so let's jump into my workshop and let's go through some of these gear pieces. Now I'm going to show you non-champ and champ pieces because not everybody uses champ gear. Okay, so starting off with the non-champ piece is going to be the Bumble Helm. It's got the cavalry attack, the range attack, the army HP, all the good things we want in a 055. If you're using this, then that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and use the Bumble Helm. If you're going to use the champion piece, it's going to be the champion helm. Don't go for the cav range armet because the HP is way lower. The army HP you get from this champ helm is really juicy. As you can see, I'm at 9 tempered right now and I'm coming in at 76.6. So really good amounts of army HP from this cav helm. Works beautifully. Going down to the chest pieces, I like the range champion chest piece because of course range is super important, as I've said a few times now, in the 055. So we go for the range chest piece for that huge range attack, plus really good amounts of army HP once again. If you're using a chest piece which isn't the champion piece, then you could potentially use the hardened carapace. It does come with the cav attack and the range attack, although you don't really get no HP from it. Potentially you could switch out and go for a firewall plate. Understandably, you do lose a little bit of range attack now because you're using a cav piece, but the army HP that the firewall plate brings is really useful. Another option that you could choose would be the beastly breastplate. This is the hoot claw chest piece. It does have a real nice amount of range attack, 49%, and it does have army defense and range HP. So of course, no army HP or cav HP here, so we're not helping that wall of cavalry stay strong, but we have got a much higher range attack from the breastplate, and the army defense will of course still help the cavalry to hold up. Moving down to the leg wear, if you're going for champion, then the best in slot I think for the 055 is actually this that I don't have yet. I'm in the process of building this up because I want to put it in my 055 set. Currently I am using the champion greaves, which do work really well. It's still got some huge army HP and attack on it, as well as great cavalry attack, so it does work really well. But I think I can definitely do better if I switch out for those range boots, which is what I'm going to be doing soon. If you don't have champ gear, I would go for the dragon talons. The range attack on these is delicious. You also get a good amount of army HP as well. So dragon talons, if you're not using the champion gear. Potentially you could also use the garg belt. There's a lot of options here. Garg belt has massive amounts of cavalry HP and huge amounts of cavalry attack. Of course, we're not boosting the range attack with this, but it's definitely going to help your cavalry front line. Going down further to the main hands, non-champion first. Non-champion has a couple of options. You can use the skull crusher. A lot of people do favor the skull crusher. It's never really been one of my favorite pieces of gear, to be fair, hence why I've not really ever utilized it, to be honest. I kind of regret building it. For me, the non-champ piece of gear is the Nectar Orb. I love this piece of gear, and just a FYI, if you take this to level 12 Astrolite, it's the same stats as the champion greatsword, which is the cav range champion equivalent. So for the cost difference, I much rather go with the Nectar Orb. Plus with the Nectar Orb, you also do get some cavalry defense and some range HP, which is really useful as well. And also the last factor, I guess, is if you knock out a maxed account with this and they check your gear, I just like to picture the look on their face when they see they've been knocked out by a level 55 Nectar Orb. It's quite funny. So that's my favorite best in slot for the 055. And then going down to the offhands, the champion Qatar is what most people look at because it's the champion cav range, but I don't think it's that great for a 055. I think the best option is going to be the Codex because it has huge amounts of range attack. You've also got cavalry attack, and you've also got good amounts of cavalry HP. Perfect. Works really well for a 055. This is, for me, best in slot. Okay, moving down to the accessories, there's a whole bunch of different combinations you can do. From a low spend perspective, you could use things like blight rings because they do come with army HP and range attack, which is really helpful. You could also use a drum, so maybe 2 blight rings and a drum possibly. If you're more of a higher spender, you could go for a couple of cups. Cups, of course, with the higher range, which is really nice. But don't forget, the cups don't have any army HP on them, so that's just something to consider. Also, monkey necklace as well is a good one to put in for some extra cavalry and cav HP. And if money is no object, then of course you can go for the champion valor that I've just recently done one of. If you've got 3 of these, then you're set to go. If you haven't, like me, you've got a couple of different champion accessories. I've got a couple of faves. I've got a blessing. Then mixing them up together is absolutely fine too. And if you've got patience and you like monster hunting because the drop rate is awful, you could build the polar ring. This thing is really nice. It's the equivalent of the cup, and it is pure cav range with cavalry and range HP. So this is a really ideal piece to use. So you could go for potentially a ring and then a valor and maybe a second valor, or 3 rings if you've got the ability to do that. Be the Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's a frustrating piece of gear to build, mainly because it requires 18 of the ambergris crystals, which are a pain in the butt to get. But if you're going to go for this, then good luck. I'm on my journey right now. I'll probably finish it in late 2026 at this rate anyway. When it comes to the dueling of the gear, this is the dueling you want to go for. You want to go for a cavalry attack duel, a range attack duel, and a champion duel. This is a perfect setup as far as I can see. Obviously, if you're a more advanced account and you've got Baron duels, then of course you can utilize those. And if you are running low on champion duels and need a different duel for the third slot, you can go ahead and put a saber duel in, because that's going to give you some extra cavalry HP, which is what you mainly do need on this particular march. But this right here is the optimum setup: the cav, the range, and the champ duel. When it comes to your talents, I can't show you my talents here, which is kind of frustrating, but it's very simple. Max out the army talent at the top, max out all the HP, and then just max out from the bottom going up all of the cavalry and range attacks all the way up. Anything left over, stick it in army defense at the bottom. So now you know how to set the 055 up. I need to show you a couple of reports to show you it in action, so you know when to send it and when not to. Okay, if you want to see me firing off the 055 in an actual Wonder War, though, I did post a video yesterday where I've launched a 055 quite a few times very successfully, and that video is up on the channel now. There will be a link in the description below for you to go and check that out. So let's dive into the report. So the first report I'm going to show you is against the Yo-Yo 1988, and this report here was quite close. It was only 100,000 difference, and the reason for that being is Yo-Yo's quite a strong player. He's got all the 11Ks, he's got 5 pieces of level 12 maxed champ, also 3 champion accessories, of course, really high amount of artifacts, 14 blessed, and max castle stars. So he's definitely a thick boy, and I only beat him by 100,000. Now what you don't want is the enemy to put themselves into range phalanx, because that is the counter formation. So he done that right, which is awesome. Carpets are great, obviously, because you don't want them to see what you're sending. You want to try and avoid the range foul. If you hit a cav foul with this, it's almost pretty much a guaranteed win if you hit a cavalry phalanx. But yeah, he went range foul, so he countered me. And if we go down and take a look at the familiars, he used the 2 new ones. He used Jade Worm, he used Helldrider. Helldrider is quite effective against the 055, which is another reason why we done less damage. But let's go into the actual battle report, and you can see here one of the main reasons why we didn't beat him by much was because of the amount of range he has in his composition. Now the sweet spot is 1 million range. That's what you want to look for. If a castle you're attacking has a composition that has 1 million range or less, then your 055 is the perfect counter to send in. Now if it's higher than 1 million range, that's when it starts becoming more sketchy. And then it really comes down to what heroes did they use, what familiars, who's got the highest stats. It can get quite sketchy. You can potentially lose rallies if they've got over 1 million range, because they are pretty much countering you back, especially in the range phalanx. So you can see there from my composition, of course, the range is slightly offset to the cav, as I explained. And let's go down and take a look at his hero composition. So if we take a look at his hero composition, you can see that he has got 2 range familiars in there, Dark Magister and Songstress. Now that's going to be tough with the 2 range familiars. So yeah, I mean, again, these all add up to the reasons why. 2 range fams, Helldrider, over 1 million range. It was a real sketchy hit to do, but we did manage to push through and get the win. Now let's dive in and take a look at the actual battle, and I'll explain how this works. I went through it earlier on the formation screen, and just to remind you, you're going to see the infantry go forward. Before the infantry buffers die, the range is going to walk in, sorry, the cav is going to walk in front of the range. Okay, that's going to get targeted by the enemy, and while the cav's keeping him busy, the range is going to start attacking. So let's go ahead and press play. There goes the infantry, they're getting attacked. The cavalry's gone in front of the range, which is beautiful. Now you can see here, right there, if we pause, the 3 red bars are the enemy squads which we're attacking, which are the 4 range squads. The 2 squads on the far right and the far left are now starting to lose HP. They're dying, because not only are the cav squads hitting it, but each one of those range squads has got 2 of my range squads targeting it, so it's dropping really quickly. Of course, the 2 squads in the middle, those 2 cavalry squads, are not going down too much because it's just pure cav onto range. Let's continue. So the familiars are going to go and do their thing. Of course, the level 5 pack 5 familiars are going to attack my range at the back over here. That's to be expected. And here comes that Hellrider. You can see they're going to go ahead and freeze in the bottom left-hand corner one of my range squads, which is why Hellrider is really effective against a 055. A lot of my troops are in that squad, which means the left-hand range squad of the enemy I'm hitting here is probably going to drop after the right-hand side because of the fact my squad got frozen. Let's see if that actually plays out that way. There goes my shield familiar. That's going to help my cav a lot. And he's going to go ahead and proc his Griffin. Okay, now you can see here those edge squads are going down nicely, but they're not quite gone yet. We need to take out those two range squads to get a retarget. As you can see, they're going down nicely though. The right-hand side one is, there it is. The right-hand squad, if his range, has now been killed. And now all of my range on that right-hand side and my cavalry are now going to retarget onto a different troop type in his army. And of course, that left-hand squad is still up because there was a delay due to the Hellrider. More arrows going in now on that left-hand squad. More boost from my cav front. Nice. That left-hand squad has now died. There we go. So now all my ranged troops are now retargeting on the other troops, which is awesome. We can now get some real good damage in. And normally they target the cav, which is really sweet because we get some real good juicy hits on the range onto his cavalry. And my squad's held up. My cavalry front line held up and we managed to get the win, which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, really good stuff. And that's how that one went down. And if we check out this next report here, this one is from an even stronger account, which is QQ Amu, and we got an even better result. Now, why is that? So here's QQ Amu. Oh, it looks like he's changed name. I think he got a bit mad that he lost. Maybe it was the Nectar Orb that annoyed him, but we know who you are, and here he is, Mr. Amu in all of his glory. You can't hide from us, my friend. So you can see this guy is really, really strong. I mean, he has got level 12 Astra, loads of artifacts. I mean, loads of blessed. He's a real strong account. And to be honest with you, he probably should have pulled when he saw my rally coming. But, you know, he looked at me and thought, well, I can take him. But here we go. 1.5 to 1.975 and the Blackwing. He did counter me with the range phalanx. Okay. He didn't use the Hellrider. That's good for us. That's actually good. It means that none of my squads are getting frozen this time. So we're doing maximum damage onto those side range squads. He has got the Jade Worm in for the reduced damage. But let's go down further and get into the actual comp. And you can see here, he's actually got less range, which is even better. The less range they have, the better for us. If he had less than 1 million range, it would have been over 2 million losses for him. Again, 1 million is that sweet spot or less, and then you're good to go. If it's higher, it's risky. Okay. If someone comes at you with, if you're going to attack someone with 055 and they've got like 1.5 mil range in there, I probably would maybe potentially rethink it because they could counter you. You have to carp it fast. But there we go. That is the comp we hit, which is awesome. And if we go down and take a look at his hero comp, this is another reason why we've done really well as well. He's only got one range hero, which is the Dark Magister. He's running 2 infantry heroes in Berserker and Lightweaver, and that helped us out an absolute bunch. So perfect. I think myself and Leroy both spotted that he had 2 infantry heroes and only 1 range, and we definitely capitalized on that. I'm not going to pause this video as much as the last one because we've already gone through it once, but you can see how it plays out once again. Infantry goes forward, keeps them busy just long enough for that cavalry to catch up, and then the familiars will proc. You can see the familiars mostly hitting my range, and then we go into battle. So the cavalry front line now I've got is holding up his whole army. The brick wall is in place, and the range are going to town. So range units going in heavy. I think my range squads on the bottom here, the right hand side, will probably take out that squad in front first, just because I've got Master Cook in there and he's given that extra 25 or an extra, is it 10% range attack from Master Cook compared to someone like Rose Knight. So we're probably going to knock down that right hand squad first. Yes, we did indeed. Might even be worthwhile maybe testing this to take out Ethereal Guide or Dream Witch and putting in maybe Grove Guardian to see if we can get those squads down even quicker. But of course, you've got to be careful because by doing that, we're reducing HP on our cavalry. But our cavalry, once again, the 2 middle cavalry squads have now been killed, but the other cavalry squads are in place to stop them coming forward. And with the range damage coming in, it's game over. So really, really good to hit on this one. That 0.55 worked absolutely perfectly. Again, if you hit and you fail and you lose a bunch of range troops, then your 0.55 has failed. And that's going to be because either they've got too much range in there and they countered you with range foul, or maybe your composition was slightly off. Maybe you didn't have the right amount of infantry buffers, or maybe you just need to go and take a look at your stats on your range and jiggle things about a bit. But offsetting this range like this certainly has the desired effect for what I'm looking for. Anyway, guys, that right there is your full analysis, full tutorial instruction on how to set up a really good 0.55 with maximum damage, so you can take your enemies on the Wonder Forts and absolutely decimate them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a nice big fat like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can see future content. If you enjoyed me breaking down this troop comp today, and you would like further videos from myself going through the different troop comps, then please let me know down in the comments section. And that's going to be it from me for today. So once again, guys, thank you for coming through. I'll catch you in the next one. But until then, you know how this next bit goes. Stay safe, everyone. And of course, peace out.